What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I'm here today with the review for Sistas. Excuse me, y'all. Season 2, episode 17. The episode is titled Addicted. So, guys, without further ado, let's get into this episode review, shall we? Alright, you guys, so this episode, it opens up where the last episode left off. You guys remember, Zach, he's in jail. Rhea went to him to tell, she had already told Zach that he was being charged with credit card fraud. So then she also told this at the end of the episode last week, she told him that, the truck that he was in, they found, a kilo of cocaine in there. And, Zach is telling her that it's not his. And, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, as a cop, don't you guys, I know when cops pull someone over, they run the plates on the car. Because when the cop pulled Zach over, he asked him for the registration and his ID. So Zach provided that to him. So he didn't then realize that the car was registered to someone else. Like, that was the thing that was throwing me off. So I didn't figure out that this car does not belong to him. So then you would ask him, well, we know you work for this, so whatever, I forget what the group's name is. Like, where'd this cocaine come from? But whatever. So then he's asking her to call Andy for him, since he's in jail. And he's telling her Andy's a lawyer. She's like, I'm not calling any more of your hoes. And it was at that point I'm like, okay, Ray. You letting your slip show. You jealous that Zach is sleeping with other women. That's not you. Not a good look, sis. So then we see Fatima. So Fatima goes into Andy's office. She's letting Andy know what time it is, that it's 5 o'clock. And, Andy tells Fatima, like, oh, Fatima, you can go ahead and go home. Like, I have some stuff here to handle. And she was like, you sure? She was like, yeah, go ahead. So once Fatima left the office, Andy gets on her phone, and who does she call? Gary. So she's telling Gary, I'm getting ready to leave here and I'm heading home. Could you meet me there so we can talk? And that's all we're doing is just talking. I'm like, Andy, you know what? I'm not going to let Andy get to me. So let's move on. So then we see Fatima. So Fatima's in a garage and she's walking and she checks her voicemail, and, Zach left the voicemail that he was in jail once again. So then who's in the garage with her? Hayden's in there. So Hayden, she says, Hayden, what have you done? He says, nothing. And she says, so, you want to go to dinner? I know a place that we can go to. And I even tweeted this, and, shout out to the Sistas Twitter page, and a shout out to Crystal Renee, the young lady who plays Fatima. They retweeted me, because I said Fatima should treat Hayden like a speed bump at this point. Just run his ass over. Boom. Be like, oops, I thought it was a speed bump. I ran over. Like, God, he's annoying. Let's move on. All right, you guys. Next, let's discuss Maurice and Jacoby. So it's closing time at the bank. Maurice is counting his money. Jacoby is doing his paperwork. I don't even know how the conversation happened, but I know Maurice called him a bitch. And Jacoby's like, yo, bro, stop calling me a bitch. And, he's like, it's a term of endearment. It might be a term of endearment, but there are people who don't like being called bitch, hoe, stuff like that. There are people who don't like those words. So if someone asks you to refrain from calling them that, be like, okay, you know what? Not even since, you know what? You're telling me that you don't like me calling you a bitch. And for that, I do apologize. It was never for me. It was never to be condescending or anything of that nature. I do apologize about that. It, like, you could say it was in terms of endearment, but since you're telling me that it offended you, that is my apology. That it offended you. There was not my intention behind that. So he said, stop calling him a bitch. Maurice said, stop asking him how to do his job. I'm like, dude, whatever, Maurice. Now I do like, I'm gonna circle back to Jacoby a little bit later in the episode because something bothered me. But Jacoby stands up to Maurice and I'm like, okay, about time. So then Sabrina comes up, and Sabrina is just really awkward when it comes. She's really awkward. I don't know what it is with Sabrina, because she's the same way with Calvin. So I'm like, you would think that Sabrina's never been around a man, dated a man. like I get being coy and flirting with people, but this is not that. So Jacoby hands her his report. He says there's a note on the report. So he leaves. So she reads the note and is telling him, he said he'll be at a bar, and if she just happens to come there, then hey, it is what it is. Maurice also read the note. Maurice also read the note. So he's like, "You trying to rush out of here to go meet that boy, huh?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Yes, yes, she is, Maurice. You know it." So then, they have a bit of a back and forth. I really wasn't listening to that conversation, but I do know that one thing that come out of the conversation is Sabrina clocked it, that Maurice also likes Jacoby. At first he said no. I'm like, yes, you do. You are flirting hella hard with this dude. And then at one point he called him, he said he was like Alonzo. We're gonna, like I said, we'll circle back to that. So then, Maurice mentions Calvin. I'm like, oh God, why did you have to mention Calvin? But whatever. So then let's move over to the airport, you guys. So at the airport, we see Danny's semi-working, I guess. And who walks up? Preston's sister. And she's like, damn, y'all got money like that to just be popping up on the bitch? But the girl was like, my plane just landed. What are you talking about? And I'm like, exactly. But Danny was a little bit rude to the girl. She was rude to the girl, but then at one point, the sister was getting a little bit too, no, she was asking a little bit too many questions about Danny and Preston. But like I said, at first Danny was rude. And she said, I told Ma about, my brothers. They won't be coming back up here. And she's like, yeah, and if they do, I'm going to call my goons from the hood to, beat their ass. So I think the sister said something about that, she's going to go see Preston. So Danny calls Sabrina, and Sabrina's on her way to go see Jacoby, who Danny actually says, so you're going to see Panty Man? She says, no, the guy from the bank. And then, they talk about the sister. That was about it, I think. I don't know. Let's move on. All right, you guys. I don't know why I'm smiling, because this scene right here irritated me. Andy. So Andy went down, which I thought Karen was going to the bank. So did Karen ever make it to the bank? Because Karen at one point said she was going to when she first talked to Andy, when Gary showed up at her salon, she was going to the bank when she called Andy. So did she never just go to, I'm guessing she never went to, did she ever go to the bank? Because we never saw her go to, whatever, never mind. So Andy is talking to Karen about, you guessed it, Gary. Oh God, this woman. I tweeted, she drives you to want to smoke and drink in the same motion. So when Gary mentioned, when Andy mentions Gary, just you just and drink at the same time. You smoke and you drink at the same time. Like, she just makes you want to do that. Like, God, Andy is just a piece of work. So at this point, Andy is talking about the fact that, I feel really guilty. He lost a lot because of me. And I'm like, but you didn't lose a lot because of him. You lost your job. You were lucky to get it back. You lost your job. You're home. If I'm not mistaken, weren't you on the side of the road walking when a cop came and picked you up, Andy? Is that what happened? Is that what happened? Is that what happened to Andy? I think so. Maybe maybe this is a different Andy that I'm thinking about. Okay, maybe it's a different Andy. So she's talking to Karen. Now she did say one thing that I agree with. Andy said one thing in this scene that I agreed with, and it was about her and Karen. Andy said that she's using Paris to get over Gary. Why? I don't know. And then she also said that Karen is using Aaron to get over Zach. And she's going to end up back with Zach. I'm like, I actually agree with you, Andy, but you're not off the hook. Gary is toxic, but I mean, I guess you waste. So toxic and waste, they go together. But you're also deflecting like a motherfucker. But it is what it is. Let's move on from her, because Andy just will drive you crazy. So Rhea, complete hater. I just don't like Rhea. So Fatima shows up to the jail to bail Zach out. Now Rhea did say one thing that was true. Zach has not been before a judge, so you can't bail him out. That is the only thing that she said. I'm like, that is true. You can't bail a person out before they actually go before the judge. That's true. So then, she looks at it. She says, "Are you a lawyer?" I'm like, "What does it have to do with anything?" She says, "No, but I work at a law firm." She says, "You know what? Come on, I'll let you go see him." So she goes and get her. So she takes her to an interrogation room. She says, "I'll be back in 10 minutes with him." So she comes back, and Zach. What's her name? Fatima. Fatima is asking Zach, like, what happened? He says, well, the one thing they're saying is they arrested me because of me using my ex-girl's credit card. She says, well, did you do it? Now see, Zach at this point was being rude and very defensive. It's just a question. All you gotta say is, no, I didn't do it. I don't know where this is coming from, but Zach is defensive. So then he also tells her, the company car that I was in, they found coke in it. And again, he's being very defensive. He says, but it's not, and he's yelling at it, "It's not mine." I'm like, Zach, calm your tits, please. And Fatima put two and two together. She says, "I believe you," and she tells him she'll get him help. And once again, like I said, Zach is being just very defensive. I get it. I get it. He's upset because he's in jail for something that he didn't do. But dude, you gotta calm down. Calm down. So then as Fatima's leaving the jail, she calls Hayden, and she's trying to have dinner with Hayden. I'm like, yes, girl, set him up. Set him up good. If you need backup, I'm right here with you. Like 1 and 2, they ready. And 3 is ready for his face. Like, we ready for him. Like, what's up? What's up? You're like, Hayden, you want to catch these hands? Like, we can catch that fade, bruh. Like, we can catch that fade. And then, to add insult, add more to that, Fatima, all you got to do is, once I beat him up, he on the ground, get in the car, put the car in either wherever he's facing, put it either in drive or reverse. It don't matter. And then when the police come in and they say, well, why has he been run over? Well, he was coming after us. He was charging at us. And she thought she put the car in if we go on drive. She thought she put the car in reverse, but she put it in drive and just went boom. Now he's behind us. She thought she put it in drive, but it was actually in reverse and boom, reverse into him. Like, see, there go our story. Fatima, I got our story, girl. Got it. We got him. What's up? Let's move on, you guys. I'm just, I love I like these shows because I'm able to have fun with them. But let's move on to the next stuff, you guys. All right, you guys. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up and put my last 3 scenes in this one whole little thing together. So Sabrina and Jacoby, like I said, you guys, I was gonna circle back to Sabrina and Jacoby later in review. So Sabrina, like I said, she went to go meet up with Jacoby at the bar. So they're talking, and like I said, once again, Sabrina is very awkward. You would be under the impression that this is Sabrina's first time going on a date with a guy, but it's not that. I don't know what it is with Sabrina. I don't know if she's socially awkward or what, but it's really awkward with her. So Jacoby asks Sabrina, is she seeing someone? And she says no, that she's not seeing anyone. And she's like, where did you get that from? So what it is he's been eavesdropping, listening to Maurice talk. So then, while we're talking about Maurice, let's go a little bit deeper into Maurice. I guess he said, why does Maurice act like that? And she's like, what do you mean? And I was saying the same thing. Like, I knew what he was trying to say, but I'm like, okay, yeah, let's pry. What you mean, bruh? So his whole thing is, why is Maurice so flamboyant? Why do you care? It's a big question. Why do you care if he's so flamboyant? What they got to do with you? I don't understand toxic masculinity. I just don't understand it. Why men are so fragile when it comes to a man, if he's gay, if he acts like, if he's very feminine. I don't understand what they got to do with you. If you masculine, you like women, why are you concerned about what another man is doing with himself or with another man, unless you want to be a part of that? And I even tweeted that. I'm like, so does Jacoby want to be with Maurice undercover? Like, what is it? Because I'm not catching all. I'm just not catching it. And Sabrina said at one point she was gonna leave, but then he talked. I'm like, no. He might not be, he might not commit a hate crime like Alonzo, which I don't know if he will or won't, but girl, he's literally telling you he's homophobic. So you might want to get up and leave if Maurice is your friend. Get up, leave, and don't talk to him and even at work, just keep it strictly professional. So then let's see where we're gonna go next. Danny. I really wasn't much with this scene. So Danny goes home and Preston is there and he's cooking dinner, and she notices that the table is set for three, but she talks about him before, about his sister. And he says she's one of the good ones. She's not like his brothers. And then he was like, he tells her that he invited the sister, and then who comes out the bathroom but the sister? I'm like, oh God, this is scary. Yeah, y'all would all have to get out of my house. I'm like, no. You don't just invite people to my place and not ask me. That's rude. Oh, God. This scene. This final scene of the episode, you guys. Andy is finally at home, and who shows up? Gary. Gary shows up. Gary shows up. I'm like, are you serious? So, Gary has three things for Andy that he wants to give to her. The first one, it's his plane ticket to Boston, which is one way. Now, he won't take that plane ticket. He won't get on that plane if Andy tells him not to. Andy girl. Then the next thing he gives her is his divorce papers that Jasmine has signed. I'm like, Andy, you can't be this stupid to... Never mind. Then the third thing was, he's going to go see a doctor, a psychiatrist or whatever. He'll see one either there, or if he goes to Boston, he'll see one there. I'm like, well, how about you see one in Boston? With that works better. The one in Boston works better. Oh, and then it got even better, you guys. It got even better. So Gary got down on one knee and asked Andy to marry him. Yeah, if toxic waste was a person, if toxic waste were two people, it would be Gary and Andy. Toxic would be Andy. Waste would be Gary. And, she says no, but she'll hold on to the ring. And as Gary's getting ready to walk out, not Sabrina, but Karen is at the door. I'm like, Karen, girl, talk some sense into your stupid ass friend. Talk some sense into your friend. Talk some sense into her. You guys, that was the episode. Be sure to like this video. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification button. And let me know in the comments, guys, what you thought about the episode. It was a good episode. I enjoyed the episode, I will say that. Obviously, I did. I'm pretty sure this video was pretty lengthy. And, I had fun with it. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought about it. Also, you guys subscribe to the Planner channel. That information is in the description bar below. And you guys stay safe. Please take care of yourselves. Remember, wash your hands. Please wear your mask. And please socially distance. And we are all going to get through this together. And I'll see you guys in the next one, which is going to be the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Bye, guys.